Welcome to Fantastic Tones for Human Bones. In this episode, we talk with Molly Bolten. Molly Bolten is a multi-instrumentalist, composer, and professional audio producer. We have a very interesting discussion with Molly about her varied musical experience, from church choir to ear cam in Paris to working as an editor for Spotify. You can find all of Molly's music at her Bandcamp site, mollybolten.bandcamp.com. You can support the podcast by subscribing to us on Patreon. Follow us on Twitter at tones_4. Follow us on Instagram at FT4HB. We greatly appreciate any and all support. Thank you. Fantastic Tones for Human Bones. Welcome to Fantastic Tones for Human Bones. My name is Robert Woods-Ledoux. My co-host is here, Mark Pascucci Clifford.
Hello.
And today we have the honor of speaking with our guest, Molly Bolten. Hello, Molly.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is fun. I've never done like a podcast before. I mean, I work on podcasts, but like I've never been on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to kind of pick your brain a bit about all of this when you're done, or as it's happening, perhaps, whatever, yeah. Whenever it comes up for you.
Totally.
Where did you grow up, actually?
I grew up in the Bay Area, on the peninsula, so like 30 miles south of San Francisco, Stanford territory. Yeah, that's where I'm from.
And
but you ended up in school in New Jersey, is that right?
I did, yeah. So I went to college at Princeton, and majored in music there, specifically like music composition and creative writing for poetry.
Whoa.
That was sort of like my minor.
Okay.
And by the end of my time in college, I was like, yeah, I think I am all good with the East Coast, and I'm going to go back to California.
Okay. So
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your journey, like leading up to going to Princeton for music composition? I had no idea. Well, I feel like I've known you for like 6 or 7 years,
yeah.
And I had no idea that you went to Princeton for music composition. So that's really interesting.
I don't even know, like,
go ahead.
what was your first instrument, actually? Because
my first instrument was piano. I started playing piano when I was like 5 or 6. I think I was 5. And I played classical piano all through the end of high school. And then I started singing in a church choir when I was like 6, and did that for a long time. I think maybe until I was in like, I feel like it was like until 9th or 10th grade. There was this church it was a like big Presbyterian church in Menlo Park that I'm not religious. My family's not really religious, but this church has or had, I don't know what their status is now, but they had a really like awesome choir program. And so I started there and just kind of like kept singing in that choir. They had really great instructors, and that's really like where I learned how to sing. And
how did you find your way there if your family was not religious or you weren't religious?
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know how my mom like knew that this church had a great choir program. I mean, this was like kind of a crazy church. It was one of those places where it wasn't like a televangelism church, but it was like big enough that they had like big screens, and they put the like words to the songs on the screens.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And then like during the service, they would have like a live telecast of the sermon. There was like a whole kind of like campus. Like it was like, this was a big church. And there were definitely times when it was like a little weird for me to be there, given that I was not religious.
Did people give you a hard time about that?
No, I never, like, no one ever gave me a hard time, but it was always like, I remember being.
You probably didn't make a big show of it, right?
I did not. I definitely did not make a big show of it. I didn't walk in being like, hey guys, fucking, I love Satan. But I remember like in rehearsal that I think we often like did a prayer in rehearsal, and there was one time or maybe multiple times where they were like, okay, we're going to do this prayer where I want you to think of like 3 people who don't know Jesus, and I want you to like pray for them. And I was just like, oh my God.
You're like, me, myself, and I?
Yeah.
Praying for myself.
Yeah, I was just kind of like looking around while everybody else was like closing their eyes, just sort of like, huh, okay, this is interesting. But the choir instructor was just great. She was a really great singer. She was really good at, like teaching singing is really a skill. That like a lot of people, like some people have it and some people don't. And she was someone who, her name was Margie. She was this like very petite woman with sort of like she had dark hair and like a pixie cut. She was very like sassy, and she had this husband who was just like this big burly guy who played the organ.
Whoa.
And yeah, she was just like really good at getting kids to understand like what singing is, and like teaching us how to like connect with the inside of our bodies and like mouths and stuff.
Like the mechanics of actually working the instrument of it all.
Yeah.
And now that's amazing. And I mean, to me, a lot of the value of churches is the community and what it can provide for you. Cause you know, all the kids coming up your age, like, you know, when I was coming up in a church, like I'd like be like actually looking through the Bible, like trying to find proof of God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and talking to my pastor, like, I'm like, where in the, you know, where's their proof? And he's like, all right, man.
He's like, okay, this is a big concept we're going to talk about.
Relax.
Wait, Mark, what was the denomination church that you came up in?
Lutheran.
All right.
Everyone's pretty chill regardless. So,
Lutheran's pretty chill. That's like technically my denomination. Like, I mean, my mom, again, not religious, but she's from Minnesota. Right. She's of German descent. So like a lot of Lutherans in that part of the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we would occasionally go to Lutheran church, and like it was always like a pretty chill time.
Yeah.
Also, they had really good communion crackers.
Oh, what?
None of those like little weird styrofoam things. It was like pita chips almost. And so
I was raised on styrofoam.
This strong association with like eating these little pita crackers and drinking wine. Like it was like a great combination. I was like, what a great pairing. Whoever the sommelier is for this church.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Bethany Lutheran Church. Shout out.
Yeah.
I think they still send us like birthday cards to my mom's house.
The Lutheran Church?
Yeah.
From Minnesota or from?
No. This is in Menlo Park.
Okay.
So, okay. What age was this again that you were in the choir, that you started like learning the mechanics of singing?
I started in first grade. So I was like 6.
Oh, dang. Okay, that's awesome. So
yeah.
you were using your ears and like using your whole body as a resonator and everything, like from early on. And when did you decide, hey, I'm going to take a crack at this and I'm going to try to make my own song? Gosh dang it.
Well, so I then like fast forward to like 7th grade. I went to the summer camp, like a sleepaway camp, and you could like take guitar there. And I started playing guitar at camp and was like, oh my God, I'm like cheating on piano. And then when I came home, I was like, for some reason, I was like all nervous to ask my mom if I could like take guitar lessons and get a guitar.
Would it be instead of piano?
No,
or was
just
it...
like in addition.
Were you playing piano like almost at a competitive type level? Were you like a MTAC, any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You did
MTA?
that? That's crazy.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
what's MTAC?
Did you do Certificate of Merit?
I teach it. Yeah, I did for a while anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the Music Teachers Association of California.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I was at one of my, music teaching jobs, that I trained kids to achieve certain levels of like, you have to know a certain level of theory and like do 4 or 3 different types of pieces. So
so like every year I would like most of the students in my piano teacher's like studio
Certificate of Merit.
Most of us were in Certificate of Merit. And every like year it's like Certificate of Merit weekend, and you go and you take a theory test, and then you play in front of a judge. And
a judge.
Yeah, a judge.
I've been an adjudicator. And
you have?
It's such a scene.
I'm sure the kids are like so nervous.
Yeah, but then like the first time I did it, I was like an assistant for this lady, and she was such a trip, and she was just like, she just wanted everyone to do well and to pass. You know what I mean? And I was like,
I remember having
attitude.
A lot of judges that were just that like we would be really scared going into it, like, oh my God, I'm going to play piano in front of a judge in a room alone with them.
Yeah.
But like I like a lot of the judges, I think, were very positive. They'd be like, just take your time. Like I'm so happy to meet you. Like they were nice. Like for the most part really nice. So you would prepare like
they didn't whiplash you?
No, they did not. Although sometimes you would get a judge that was like really intense.
This lady was really funny though, because she was having severe stomach issues that day, but she still had, I was the only one who knew, because like the first time I did it, I was assisting her, right? And so she was just like spilling all the beans to me about how she had to run to the bathroom and how to like, I had to sort of keep things running. And I was like, wow, as a kid, when I did things like this, similar to this, like Assistance League in Denver and that kind of thing, it's all the things you would never think about.
Yeah.
With the people who are judging you, you know?
Right. Like they almost don't seem like humans.
Human, yeah.
Because they just seem like this sort of like scary mass of like, oh, I'm going to go into this like scary practice room, and what if the piano sucks? That was another thing. It was like the one that I did was always at Stanford, in the Stanford Music Building, which is great.
That adds another level of intimidation, though, in a way, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
nice
you go and you do
there?
like you would do sight reading, and then there's technique. And you like play that you like every level has different like sight reading and scales and technique that you're supposed to like prepare, and then every level like you increase the difficulty and like number of pieces that you perform for them. And you're supposed to like spread out your pieces over the 4 periods: Baroque, Classical, Romantic, Contemporary.
Oh, that's interesting.
Quote unquote. Which is really just, I think they started calling it 20th century.
What do they do with
after
pieces that
a
are
while.
like right on the edge of those things?
They have the books that you generally use by this editor Keith Snell.
Yes.
So
you're really like bringing a lot. This is like,
yeah.
Oh my God,
So,
Keith Snell.
yeah, generally you'll like, if you want your kids to go through the CM program, you teach them via the Julia McIntosh Johnson theory books and the Keith Snell piano books, which are like level 1, Baroque and classical, level 1, romantic 20th century. And then there's like this huge, there was this black binder that we had where I was teaching where it's like all the acceptable pieces for each level and each.
Yeah, it's like a karaoke
period.
songbook.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's Bob, honestly, man, it's I'm not super into it, and I don't think anyone who's hearing this is going to be really bummed about me saying it, but anyway, I walked away from that whole thing after a while just feeling kind of like I don't know about all this.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, actually, so I had like kind of a big crisis.
What's it all for?
Well, that's a great question, Bob. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. For me, I think it really like, it's a good exercise in like having a concrete goal that you are working towards, learning like how to learn a piece and like front to back play it, like really get it like under your skin. I mean, the technique is like super valuable. The theory is valuable. My piano teacher, her name is Marta Schermerhorn. Shout out Marta. Love her. She was super into music theory. And so, which I was like so grateful for in college, because I was just like, wow, I actually like, I know a lot. Yeah, so I will say it's like a good practice in like discipline and setting your mind to something like a musical goal.
And
that said,
it's all provable too. Like if you test out at the advanced level past level 9, then boom, you have that you can show any music school you might be applying to. You know, it's very, very concrete results. So in that way, it's good too. I just had some inner conflicts with the admin itself. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So that's sort of why I like kind of got out of that whole thing.
And I mean, my senior year of high school, I had kind of a crisis about it because I think I may have been doing level 9, or is there a level 10?
I believe it's called advanced at that point.
I think
it's level 9.
I was like preparing to do the advanced level.
Yeah.
And my senior year of high school was like kind of rough. My parents separated. There was a lot going on. I was applying to college. And
wow, what a time for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like not in a place where I felt capable of like really pouring all of this energy into CM, and I decided ultimately to not do it that year.
What does CM stand for?
Certificate of Merit.
Certificate of Merit. So it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like this is like perhaps a stand-in for piano players where they can't participate in like regional bands.
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, you can do it for other instruments too. Like there were always like violinists around when I would go and do it. But
I think harp is a big one for the same reason.
Yeah, because it's like a lot of like solo instruments that maybe, you know, like there aren't as many structured like sort of there's not as much of a like ladder, a clear ladder for like kids playing those instruments.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So okay, so I mean, I definitely just sent us on a little side quest there.
Yeah.
That's
No, but
crazy.
that was super interesting. Like I haven't thought about that in a while.
But so that started because you were talking about like feeling this inner turmoil.
Yeah, where I
about
was
being
like, are you allowed to play more than one instrument? I was like 12.
and I'm sure that they were super pumped.
I was like, is it okay if I like, can I get a guitar? And my mom was like, yeah, totally. Like, cool. I'll start like looking for a teacher. And
Awesome.
so, yeah, I started playing guitar, and I think I always like, even when I was a little kid, would like write. Oh, I should have tried to find this. I don't know where it would be. But I used to like write dumb little like piano songs when I was a kid.
Like instrumental or singing songs?
Instrumental. That were like one page or like half a page.
Oh, you notate them?
So you would actually notate them?
Yeah. Yeah, I would notate them. And I had like a staff book that was like really big because it's like for kids. That's had like
awesome.
Three staves on a page.
Tell me you still have this somewhere.
Oh my God. I hope I do. I'm going to ask. Okay,
amazing.
When I go home for Thanksgiving, I'm going to ask my mom if she knows where that might be. Because, wow, there are some bangers in there. I remember
EP,
two titles of songs that I wrote when I was like 7 or 8. One, The Two Castles. 2.
That's pretty metal.
It's like dungeon synth.
It's like Two Towers.
Yeah, it was sort of like a call and response type thing. It was like these two castles talking to each other with like in like Mixolydian mode. So like it was very like medieval sounding.
Awesome.
And then the other one that I remember is Egyptian dance, but I did not know how to spell Egyptian because that's a very difficult word for a child. And I think I spelled it like EJYPTOIN.
It's close enough.
Egyptoin.
Egyptoin.
Egyptoin dance.
And yeah, you sound like a small child when you say that too.
Yeah.
Egyptoin.
Was that like in
Egyptoin dance?
I wrote the Egyptoin.
Like a.
That's so cool that you were notating it out already, like at that time.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe you didn't even think about it. You're just like, yeah, I'm sure all my other.
Yeah, I was like, I got to write this down. That's for future generations, to play this famous piece. But yeah, then like when I was a teenager, I think around like age 15, I started writing kind of like singer-songwriter songs. And that was after I had been like, listening to music that I had chosen for several years. I was several years into like listening to music on purpose at that point in my life.
However, you said that your piano teacher taught you theory well, so you were able to perhaps contextualize what you were listening to and figure out why you liked it, and therefore empowering you to
I think so
to some degree.
Like with my guitar teacher, a lot of what we were doing at the beginning was like I would bring in a song that I was listening to that I wanted to learn, and a lot of the songs that I was bringing into him were like Elliott Smith songs or Nick Drake songs, like these really intricate sort of like, I for some reason I was really drawn to like finger picking style. And these sort of like odd chord progressions that were just like had all of this stuff going on in them. And I forget why I started talking about that.
I think we were talking about, because I had mentioned you had brought up your piano teacher having taught you theory.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think
I've always, I think, like from an early age, probably been drawn to music that, like, not like complicated music, but music that's like really rich harmonically.
Sure. Yeah.
And because I could sort of like identify, like it was stuff that I had heard before. Like I had studied Beethoven and been like, these, heard the way that Beethoven's music kind of like is these like twisting vines together, like moving and just being very like complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You sent, your list of influences that you sent to us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, aside from the ones that are obviously more modern than this time period, were a lot of the older ones stuff that you were getting into at that time, or stuff that you got into later?
Let's see.
Like, for example, Brian Wilson, Lauryn
Brian
Hill.
Wilson, I think I started getting into Brian Wilson in college mostly. But like Nick Drake, I really liked from a young age. Elliott Smith, and then
the one that really sticks out like a sore thumb on this list is Bill Evans.
Oh yeah,
yeah, at the very bottom there. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's like right under Carly Rae Jepsen.
I like both. Those are actually, honestly,
they're both amazing artists.
The two artists on this list that I like the most are those two.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. I don't know.
I'd have a hard time naming my favorite. I mean, like I'm such a Nick Drake fan.
Yeah.
D'Angelo, Bill Evans, I'd have to probably put up top.
Yeah.
But Fela, man, and the amount of times that I've listened to Independence Day by Elliott Smith is not I couldn't count that,
I know.
It's intense.
I honestly don't even really know that.
That song is amazing. It's like one of my favorite songs.
He just like,
but
I don't know what it.
So.
He's an artist that I like didn't realize how much he influenced like my writing until like a few years ago. Because I listened to him a lot from age like 12 through probably 16, and then just sort of like stepped away from him for a long time, and then
Knight's Tale.
Dude, I have to talk to you about the Knight's Tale soundtrack.
Okay, can we? Because that has to do with you moving, and we will.
Yeah,
we'll get there. But like, I definitely want to connect the bridge between you getting this guitar, starting to listening to these different artists, starting to make your own songs, and then was Princeton the first school that you went to? Was that like straight out the gate?
Yeah.
Is that the only? Okay.
So I went there. I graduated high school and then went to Princeton. But I didn't know, like, I didn't go to Princeton for music. Like I wasn't sure what I wanted to major in. I knew that it would be like that I wanted to major in a humanity. But it like didn't really occur to me that like you could major in music, strangely. Part of the draw for me at Princeton was their creative writing program. I always like pretty like since I was a kid, always like loved writing, especially poems. I loved like reading poetry as a kid. I think partly I'm like really drawn to poetry because I have a learning disability and have always like reading has always been like sort of a struggle for me. And I think poetry strangely like felt the most accessible to me, in a way that like novels feel daunting to me, where like I like how like loose poetry is, and it's shorter often, and like there's sort of like an abstractness that I've always thought was fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went to Princeton, didn't know exactly what I wanted to major in. And then I took a music class freshman year, sort of like it was like a combination, like not terribly rigorous, like theory and like music survey course.
Was it meant for music majors, or was it?
It was meant to be like sort of introductory, actually.
Okay.
It was like Music 104. Sorry, I'm just like fiddling with this fucking thing.
It's okay. I'm fiddling with this.
What is that?
I always have my beard,
cap.
so
Yeah, I need to grow one of those.
Built in.
But yeah, it was Music 104, where like Music 105, 106 is what like freshman music majors take. If you like know you want to major in music right off the bat, that's what you take, which I ended up taking 105, 106 in my sophomore year. So I like got a little bit of a late start because I like didn't know that I was gonna want to major in music. But yeah, I was taking this class and was kind of like, man, this is really cool. Like I love doing this in an educational setting, and like I want to. This is what I want to do for like Princeton requires a senior thesis, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to be doing. Like for my thesis, I want to throw everything into this. I want this to be like my focus.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And did you have to audition at the point that you wanted to?
No.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because if you come out of there with a composition, did you come out with a composition degree? Is that right?
So my degree is in music, but like sort of within the music department, there are 2 tracks at Princeton. It's musicology and composition. And then there's a music performance certificate, which is like a minor that you can get regardless of whether or not you're a music major. So like I knew people who, majored in English and there were a lot of like philosophy majors who did like jazz performance. The classic
Is that the
combo.
same as? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Is that the same as a DMA? Is that what those are called? Like a lot of people doing
a DMA?
Doctor, I forget what it is, but I think it's like where a lot of people just want something where all they do is practice for like 12 hours a day for a year and a half or 2 years, and they come out
so
of
it's
it.
like a certificate. It's not like a proper. You can't get a bachelor that way. You have to.
No, and I think it might. See, I don't know, but I think it might be only, grad and post-grad type stuff,
Okay.
But instead of doing a PhD, you can do, I believe, what's called a DMA. But
wow.
I will immediately find out.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Because, Crystal is deep in the lore of that realm.
Yeah.
The lore.
Yeah.
The mythos.
Yeah, music academia is wild.
Well, it's fascinating to me that Princeton only has musicology and music composition.
Well, it's a very small department. So, like in my year, there were 12 kids who were music majors.
Whoa.
And
wow.
I would say it was like a pretty even split between musicology and composition. A lot of my
How many teachers were there?
Between like 8 and 10, probably. music professors.
That's a crazy ratio of teacher to student.
Yeah. So like, Princeton not having like the biggest, flashiest music department, like it made up for it in the fact that like everybody knew each other. You knew all the professors knew all the students.
Yeah. Plus,
there was
seemingly
just this like really intimate kind of like vibe to it.
Like all the one-on-one time you could possibly want, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah,
so
I wish that I had taken more advantage of that, which I get, like, I think that's a common, like, wish for people after college. Like, I feel like right now I'm like, man, if I like went back to college at my age, I would just fucking crush it. Like I would just knock it out of the park. I would do college so well.
I have that thought
I would be
all
so
the time.
mentally healthy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like Billy Madison it, but for music school as like in your 30s.
Like I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get in there, and I'm gonna like make the best of it.
I definitely.
It's just tough at the age. I mean,
it is.
I don't want to speak to y'all's experience, but like
our prefrontal cortexes are not fully developed.
No, they aren't.
Far from it. And
I had some
there's a lot
interests
going on
outside of practicing as well. It was a little tricky.
I did some errors. I did some blunders as a student.
Yeah, same.
I think that's what
it's a messy time. It's a very messy time.
Yes, let us.
But like you got to go through the mess. Like there's no sidestepping the mess of like 18 through 25.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because then you get like once you graduate, all of a sudden all that structure is gone. Mm-hmm. So the mess just it deepens. Like you finally after a while you like start to figure things out, and you're like you have these recitals, and you're like, okay, cool, I figured out all this structure. I'm feeling good.
By
and
the end of your senior year, you're like, okay, I'm starting to get this. And then
and then you whoop,
just the rug gone from under you.
Yeah, that's bananas. So did you stay after all that? Did you stay in the East Coast, or were you like immediately ready to?
No, I left pretty immediately. I had lived in New York for a summer. The summer after my sophomore year in college, I was like interning. I had 2 internships. One was at a like tiny record label called Bada Bing Records, and the other was at
Bada Boom Records.
Bada Bing, Bada Boom. But yeah, they were a cool label. They did like Beirut and Sharon Van Etten. They had some cool people.
Wait, this was Bada Bing or the
This was Bada Bing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still friends with my boss from that job. He was this really cool guy. But yeah, so I had spent a summer in New York in college and was kind of and that was sort of enough for me to learn that I'm not for New York. I'm not built for it. It's like too much for me. Yeah. I like things to be like a little slower, a little more relaxed. I get this like I mean, don't get me wrong, I love New York. It's a great place. It's really fun. I have like friends there that I love to visit, and there's always so much going on. But anytime I go there, if I'm there for more than like 4 days, I start this feeling of like claustrophobia sets in, where I'm just like,
I'm with you on that
God.
one personally.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like a sensory overload that kind of makes me like max out.
The idea of living there and being a vibraphonist really stresses me out, because like driving is stressful, loading and unloading my instrument is stressful.
Yeah, and like how do you do that in a place where like people don't have cars?
But, and I've dealt with that.
Yeah, like, how do people do that?
You call
is there like a special car service for vibraphones?
Well, there's just one that will actually deal with it, because if you call Uber or whatever, they'll say no. But like what is it? Hello, Bushwick. Yeah, Bushwick. Bushwick Car. They'll deal with you. They don't care what you have. They have vans that are big enough. So, like, hello,
That's
Bushwick.
good to know.
Yeah, they will move your vibraphone around.
Wow.
But it wasn't mine ever. Anytime I was playing it out there, but
yeah,
it just stresses me out, man. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, there's just everything is harder there.
Yeah.
I mean, certain things are easier. Like there's like a convenience factor to New York, but yeah, it just feels like everybody's just like struggling.
Yeah.
And when I'm there, I'm like, you guys, like, it doesn't have to be like this.
Yeah.
You could just like be hanging out. You could just be
There's
chilling.
a place you can go. Yeah, dude. I've thought so much about this throughout the course of my life, and I've had a lot of existential crises, but I feel like I'm a California guy.
Yeah. Are you from California?
I was born here, grew up in Denver, came back here.
Wait,
Okay, cool.
I didn't know you were born here.
I was born in Fresno, California.
Wow.
AB.
Well, come on back,
Yup.
man. Come on back to the Central Valley.
Have you met our friend Nauko?
Yeah.
She's from Fresno.
Okay.
Probably.
She's played,
Sorry.
Well,
she's
she was
played
at-
with Bob on some stuff.
Yeah, she plays
the
in
cello.
Onkos.
Yes.
She plays in Onkos.
Blue hair. She's
Yeah.
got blue hair.
Yeah.
Chelly?
Chelly.
Chelly.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm on
Yeah,
board.
Chelly, blue hair.
Yeah, definitely. I know her well. And
She's from
yeah,
Fresno.
I was in Visalia till I was 3,
Okay.
moved to Denver, came to the Bay
Cool.
eventually. But anyway, all right, so did you come straight to SF? Did you were doing
Yeah.
internships? Did you land a job
What were
and
you,
come back?
just
or-
curious, what were you doing as an intern with the record label?
It's just like random shit. I
Like
don't know,
making
man.
coffee?
I was, yeah, I was taking stuff to the post office. I was like filling in. I was doing some sort of like tour management, assisting stuff, kind of like putting together budgets for tours, dealing with merch. What else did I do there? Just like a lot of random stuff. It was so tiny. There were like 4 people that worked there. And
Yeah.
so it was like a really intimate setting. And yeah, I was just kind of doing whatever like tasks they gave me and just kind of like listening.
Interesting.
And absorbing stuff. And yeah.
Do you have any takeaways from that?
Oof.
I'm curious.
Like business, like industry takeaways.
Or just like, or quips, or like.
Yeah, it ostensibly seems like valuable work for someone trying to make music, but
Yeah, it was, I think. I like my boss there definitely like was invested in me learning about how the industry works. Like there are a couple books that he recommended that I get. One was about music publishing, which is like definitely a thing that all artists should familiarize themselves with. Like specifically publishing, because that's sort of like the underlying like foundation of an artist's like
Income.
life in the industry.
Yeah.
And there's a book that I still have. I'm like looking at it on my bookshelf. That like breaks it down in like a understandable way. Called.
It's interesting just looking at this list of artists on this record label, and like there's like a ton of artists on here, but I don't recognize a single one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
let me take a whack at it.
The book is called The Plain and Simple Guide to Music Publishing by Randall D. Wixon.
Okay.
what you need to know about protecting and profiting from music copyrights.
When did you record anything when you were at school, or did that happen after you had moved back?
Yeah, I did.
What did you record? And is any of that what I've heard?
In college, is like when I like discovered audio production, because like I was sort of producing my own stuff. Like when I was in composition classes, sometimes I got really into, so I was in what's called the Princeton Laptop Orchestra.
Yes.
Stanford also has one.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of those people like all know each other.
Yeah.
It's like a funny group of nerds that is really fun. So I think I joined like my sophomore or junior year. And I like didn't know anything about like programming or anything, but we would perform. We worked a lot. It was like a mix of undergrad and music grad students. And so a lot of the like music or pieces that we were playing or performing were like max patches that were written by grad students. And so we would like perform them. We had this whole setup where everybody had their own speaker and subwoofer, and the speakers were these like weird dome shaped things that they had built themselves. Like think it
dome shaped. Was there a particular effect they were going for with the design or anything, or was it just like what was easy to make?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the motivation was behind that shape, but it was like there were like 15 of these things, and the way we would perform is like in a semicircle, everybody on their laptops with their speakers in front of them. And yeah, it was super cool. And I got like for a time really into what's called musique concrète. Do you guys know what that is?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
hell yeah, musique concrète.
For anyone who listening who doesn't, it's like music that's made with found sounds. So it's stuff like sound effects that you have gathered from the wild. And I got really into that, and I started like making some of my own musique concrète pieces.
Sick. And you would involve that later on, like in like helium. You know what I mean? There's like little aspects of that were really fascinating to me. As I'm listening to more of your like quote unquote song.
Yeah, definitely.
Are any of these pieces online anywhere?
Yeah, those are on my Bandcamp, I think.
The compositions thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're in the creatively named Compositions album called Compositions. Let's see.
Can you make this available for download?
Yeah, is it not?
No, it's not.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I definitely will. But yeah, these are in the Compositions thing. These are a couple pieces that I made while I was in college.
Okay, cool.
Two of them,
right on.
Two of them are like musique concrète, kind of thing, and then the third one is
ukulele invention number one.
Ukulele piece that I wrote for my species counterpoint class.
This is so interesting because I was looking at this without any context.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
and I was just making my own.
I could definitely put some context on this page because there is no explanation as to like what these things are on my Bandcamp.
Well, there's some explanation. They're compositions.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact, dude, You took like a species counterpoint class. That to me is
like that was
bonkers,
that's part of the music like major course requirements is we take like 16th century 16th century counterpoint, where we studied a lot of like really early sort of like Gregorian chant,
oh yeah,
like literal point to point,
like old choral music.
Yeah.
And then I think in the second semester of that year, you get into like Bach chorales, which are incredibly beautiful.
Crazy comp. 6-part harmony is no joke.
It is no joke. I was not good at species counterpoint. It was so hard for me.
I think it's generally extremely challenging.
It's so hard.
And I like to, I was given advice by a pianist out here, Anne Rainwater, when I was trying to improve my sight reading. She said, get the chorales and just pop it open and read.
Yeah.
On piano. And that you get to a point and you feel like, hey, I can write a chord progression. And I feel like I generally have a sense of what might happen, but
seeing that you're like, where
a loop.
Where do you get that?
I was like, dude, how has this become standard, like, way of thinking about harmony? This is so atypical for what standard harmony has become. This is bananas.
Yeah.
This is really bizarre music in its own way.
What's I think like so interesting about it is that it's like not about the chords. It's about like, it's not about the vertical, it's about the horizontal. So it's about like the
vertically,
the individual vocal lines that are, and the way that they are interacting with each other. I mean, it's not about the chords. Like, it is still about the chords, but like
the problem that makes it so fucked up is that it is also about the chords.
It is also about the chords, and there's like so many rules about like what the chords can be, but there are also so many rules about what a note can be, depending on what the note was before it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like,
it like sets my brain on fire.
Yeah. But also the rules themselves are, applied to this music.
Yes.
Right? It's not rules that made the music.
Although I think some of them, like I'm thinking about like no parallel fifths. I feel like that was a rule that they made.
That's probably
like no
true.
tritones. I know that was a rule that they were working with, because they were like,
unless it's very specifically prepared and resolved.
Yeah, you can use a tritone in like a very specific way. I forget exactly what it is.
In or out.
But it was like
in or out, buddy. Tritones,
but
in
like
or
no
out.
tritones. That's the devil's interval. We don't allow that here. Literally, tritones are the devil.
Bach was super down with God. He would not get down with that, but he snuck those sevenths in all the time. But
Bach was absolutely wild.
Yeah. So, okay, side quest after side quest. I apologize. No. My bad.
I also have a tendency for tangents. So.
I had a question. Wait, hold on. I have a question.
Go.
Were you using Max yourself?
Yeah, I started to.
Wow.
So the summer before my senior year, I went to this, I did this like month-long electronic music composition program in Paris at the IRCAM. Have you heard of that place?
Hell yeah.
Dude.
And
IRCAM is what does that stand for again?
It's like Institut de Recherche, something about like computer music. It's like the research institute of computer music, sort of.
Was Xenakis one of the founders of that, or did he just...
Xenakis?
Yeah, didn't he?
I don't know.
Wasn't he... Or maybe it was Pierre Boulez.
It definitely, I saw Pierre Boulez there.
What?
In the elevator.
That's
and then he died like a week after we left.
What'd you do?
I know. My friend Ethan, he lives in Seattle, but he and I met at this, like, in this program, and have been friends ever since. And he and I have a joke that we killed Pierre Boulez by administering some sort of slow acting poison that we gave to him while we were still there, so that he would die after we were gone and we would not be suspected.
And it's a joke, folks.
It's a joke.
Wait, were you in the elevator with him?
I can't remember. It was definitely, it might have been like he got into the elevator and we were waiting for the elevator. He like got out of the elevator that we were waiting for or something. But like we walked by.
Who did you study with while you were there? What did you do?
Okay, so there were a couple different like units within this month-long course. The like longest of which was a Max MSP course. So we were just like learning how to use Max, how to like build a patch, what the possibilities are, which are like essentially endless in Max. It's such a cool software. And then there was also like a philosophy. There was like a philosophy of music unit. And then what else? Maybe there was like a week where we were working on our own projects. But yeah, that's the primary focus of that was like learning Max for like computer music making.
Yeah.
And that was just like, that was a really great month. It was so much fun. We like
that sounds awesome.
Sounds incredible.
Went to so many cool concerts. The Earcam.
It's in Paris
it's
too,
in
right?
Paris, yeah. So it's like right across that. So the Centre Pompidou, the like modern art museum in Paris, is on this plaza, and on the just like across the plaza is the Earcam, which is connected to the Centre Pompidou. And
awesome.
So yeah, we just like saw so many great performances and like learned a lot of like really wacky shit. It was just like so fun and weird. They have an anechoic chamber there at the Earcam. And we all got to go in it. We had to take turns because it's like pretty small. But that was like an insane experience. Have you ever been inside an anechoic chamber?
No.
Dude, it's so crazy. So like there's no reflection, right? There's no
sound reflection.
Yeah, there's no sound reflection. The walls and the ceilings and the floor are all like covered in big like foam spikes and just like sound absorbing material. And you walk in, you're sort of on this like elevated metal grate that you walk on. And it feels, you can only be in there for like max like 4 minutes because it like messes with your like inner ear, because
your equilibrium, right?
Yeah, your like equilibrium gets totally fucked up because you can like barely hear yourself talk. It's so, the air is so dead that like you try to talk and it's really quiet. And it feels like your body is like being compressed, and like you can almost hear like your heart beating.
Oh my gosh.
It's really wild.
I'm sure like I feel like shallow breaths just thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it sounds kind of scary.
It's a little scary. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
I want to go in one. Is there one in Bakersfield?
Yes.
I'm sure there you can find one. Or you just come to LA and we'll find one.
Anechoic chamber near me.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that Facebook has one. Like in Menlo Park.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Should hit up. Okay, we'll hit up Richard. We'll get in there.
They're like, aren't they like? I mean, they're kind of like a slightly useless, very expensive thing, right?
I mean, it's a good experiment, right? To see what happens when you absolutely kill sound in a room. But
yeah, I mean, like when we were going in there at the ear cam, they said that like sometimes players will go in there and like practice for a second, because it's like a totally different experience of hearing.
At that point, it does seem a little bit like a novelty, because if you can't really hear your instrument, like even trumpet or something like that, like you're like, oh, that was funny.
You're like, oh, cool. That was quiet.
So, okay, when did you start recording your songs? Because it seems
that was
like
the question.
You were in this world, which is a whole other journey, and it's kind of amazing. And then like the bulk of your catalog that I've listened to is songs.
Yeah,
you know, and
so
it's not
I started
traditional by any sense, but still.
Yeah, no, I started recording. Really janky recordings when I was a teenager. I had like a music MySpace, and I would record my songs into my laptop in GarageBand. It was cool as hell. I would upload them to my little music MySpace. Wouldn't even use headphones while I was recording them.
So you were using GarageBand?
Yeah, I'm back to my roots.
For this podcast. Right on.
But yeah, so I like started doing that in high school, but I wasn't really thinking about like the recording aspect at all. I was just thinking about like, I've written this song, I need to have a recording of it. But yeah, it wasn't until college that I started like actually thinking about like what recording is and what audio production is or can be. And so my senior thesis, I decided to make it an album, where I would, so because I had a music major and a creative writing certificate, I decided to like do an album of songs, and then that's what I would turn into the music department, was this record. And then my thesis that I would turn into the creative writing department would include all the lyrics to those songs, and then it was like a collection of a bunch of other poems as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really fun.
Do you have a thesis statement for this work?
Somewhere. I have like 25 of the CD. I can send you guys CDs.
That'd be sweet.
Because I like had them printed.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, it's on Bandcamp and SoundCloud, and Spotify and stuff. It's the album. Yeah, it's on
All Seats Provide.
All Seats Provide Equal Viewing of the Universe.
So again, without context from what I was just hearing, listening to this, I had a lot of questions. Like the very first thing that stuck out to me was like some of the horn arrangements, some of the things I was hearing with that, and I was like, okay.
So honestly, the context that you're just providing for us for this really throws my understanding of this album on its head.
It's interesting that way too. I mean,
yeah. So basically the way that I like put this band together was I was primarily in two bands for like the duration of my college experience. One was this band called Sense Maya that was like sort of an Afrobeat inspired band of Princeton students where they would like, people would graduate and then they would bring in new people as people graduated. And so it like stayed at Princeton. And it was like very much an institution on campus. We performed all the time. Yeah. And I was the singer in that band. And then the other band that I was in was one that like my friend had started, or we all kind of started it together, called Gorilla.
Great name.
That was like a sort of thank you, like hip hop soul band. I should find that music. That I think that's on Bandcamp too. I'll send it to you.
24. Okay.
But my friend Logan was this like amazing piano player. Started the band with Arjun on drums, Connor on bass. I was playing guitar, and then our friend Max rapped / sang, and then Sense of Maya.
I found this album.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you find our EP?
Yeah.
That we recorded that. I want to say in like 2013, maybe 2014.
Yeah, it says 2014 on here.
Yeah. And then Sense of Maya was a big band. It was like 10. We had like 10 people, full horn section.
Say the name of that band again. Sense? What? Is it Sense?
Sense of Maya.
Sense of Maya?
SENSEMAYA. I think the name came from a poem. I'm actually not sure. Because it had been around for a long time before I was even at Princeton. I think it started in like 2004.
Okay.
But all of these people in these bands were like some of my closest friends and my favorite musicians. And so like I kind of formed this like super group for my thesis.
I see.
Of Logan from Gorilla, Arjun from Gorilla, and Connor also from Gorilla, and then my friends Divya and Ruben playing horns, and my friend Charmaine did some backup vocals. She's a really talented vocalist. Right, like now she does really crazy shit. She's like a noise vocal artist.
Okay.
You should check out her stuff.
Okay.
It is wild and awesome.
Under her name?
Yeah, her name is, I'm going to text it to you.
I mean, I've got it. It's
Charmaine Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really cool. Oh, and of course, my friend Ben Cruz, like one of the best guitar players I have ever met in my life.
Is that who is like on that first track, Shred?
Probably. Yeah, I think he plays the solo on Casablanca.
Yeah, there's like a moment where you're just like
he fucking shreds. He shreds.
Just totally breaks out. It's amazing. This is having the context for this record is 100% bananas. Like now in retrospect, that's amazing.
Yeah, this is my senior thesis in college. I really wanted to like. I had all of these songs written, but I had written all these songs, but I really wanted to also like highlight these musicians, and kind of like we worked together on all the arrangements, and it was just like a really cool experience. And then Princeton, there's like a recording studio in the music building at Princeton, and that's where I recorded all of it. I had a couple grad students helped me. And yeah, I just like had to book the studio. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I booked it for like all of spring break.
Did you mix it?
And just stayed there. What?
Did you mix it?
I did mix it. Yeah.
It's really well done.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
thank you. I was like, I've never mixed anything in my life. So I was literally in there like Googling like how to mix music. Like,
that's
like,
hilarious.
I really like knew nothing. But it was a great way it was like just like a great project to learn on. Cause I think something that was really important to me, like about this project in particular, was for me to like really take full control of it, like soup to nuts. Like I wrote the songs, I worked on the arrangements, like I recorded them, I mixed them, I quote mastered them.
So you made the artwork.
I made the
and
artwork.
What peak is that on the cover? Is that Sierras?
It's in Glacier National Park in Montana. Highly recommend. Quick PSA: the glaciers are very melting, so go ASAP.
Oh boy.
It's like a really, really breathtaking place. Highly recommend.
Okay.
Should we listen to it? Just a tad bit of this?
Let's do.
Sure.
I really wanted to play Casablanca because it's such a funky song.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that song.
Okay.
In all the towns in all the world, here I am watching Casablanca in a hospital ward, with one kind nurse who's been assigned to take good care of me.
That's Logan. He's a really good keyboard player.
So yeah, the mixing, like what you did with the drum microphone placement and like the reverb of the guitar and the reverb of your voice, it is like so cool because it's like everything has its own little space to sit in. And
yeah, I think that's generally like how I approach mixing always, is like it's easier. I like to kind of spread things out and give every element like its own little home where like it's usually going to stay there unless you're going to like do some spooky stuff, which is also cool.
Yeah.
But like, I like to have everything have a home so that it can, like, you can hear everything that's going on. Yeah, because I like to feel like you're in sort of like a 3D space.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this song certainly does that pretty well.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, and when the horns come in with that do de do do, the hemiola type rhythm going on.
You wrote those horn parts out?
I worked on them with Divya and Ruben. But yeah, I think I can't remember exactly how it broke down, but what I would do is like I would listen to the song and then sing like what I was hearing for one line of the horns.
Right on.
And just be like, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Divya and Ruben like were so experienced at playing together that they always like came up with really great, like beautiful harmonies.
Yeah.
That were always like sort of unusual.
And you can still hear like something coming out of like an Afrobeat tradition in that sense too.
For sure.
Yeah. Very cool.
Definitely.
Really fascinating amalgamation of different worlds coming together. And it's so crazy that you had done everything that you did like in Paris and like laptop orchestra and then this, this is what I'm listening to and checking out. It's really cool to hear where you were at this time and what you had been studying, like even down to species counterpoint and everything. And
that's something that's always like been really important to me, and I definitely really here. Okay, I'll say this. I always like loved listening to music from an early age, and for a long time, like I thought I had a very diverse musical appetite. And then I got to college and was like, oh my God, there's so much more that I like don't even know about.
Yeah.
And at that and through college, I kind of like had a big sort of like epiphany and like opening where I realized that like I wanted to listen to have like a really broad diet of music, and because I wanted my music, the music that I would write, to be like unclassifiable in a way, because I had this sort of like realization that like genre is fake. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was like smoking a lot of weed in college. Nothing is real. But yeah, it became really important to me to listen to just as many different types of music and artists that I could like get my hands on, and just had this like really voracious appetite for it. So that the music that I would make would reflect that. And I think I'm forever like a songwriter, like a singer-songwriter. That's sort of like, no matter what I like try to do, that's always what I end up doing.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, you have all these ideas, but you are the filter. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm the filter that it goes through.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like really, I still do like have this strong philosophy that like all music is super valid, and there's no music that is like not worth listening to. Because we can learn something from everything we hear. If it's something that we don't like it's fun to think about, like, why don't I like this?
Yeah.
And try to like articulate that and be specific about like what things work for me and what don't. And how is that different from other people, other listeners?
I had a professor in college that was like, if you don't like a certain kind of music that is popular with some amount of people, it's probable that you don't understand it.
Yeah.
And that you should spend more time.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Well, damn.
Yeah, I think that's really true.
No, I mean, even like up at the top of the episode where y'all were both talking about Carly Rae Jepsen, I was like, I know nothing about her just because of the context in which I know about her. I've like not given any time or thought.
Yeah,
and I'm probably missing out on a bunch of stuff.
You know who like turned me on to Carly Rae Jepsen?
I can guess.
Real?
I can guess.
I can guess too. Shall we go at the same time? Ready? One, two, three. Andrew McGuire.
Smith.
Oh.
Oh, close though. Andrew McGuire is a similarly like diverse listener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Devin Smith. I think it was like while I was working at Smule and like writing MIDI arrangements of all these pop songs that I like really that was my pop era when I like figured out that pop music is cool.
Well,
and that like it's so fascinating. It's just like pop music is so fascinating.
I got into Carly Rae Jepsen the moment that I was like, because I like, what's her song that was like very popular?
Call Me Maybe.
Like that's the only
like
song.
Her breakout. Yeah. Her breakout hit.
And like then we were at that party at Michael Berger's house and both you and Devin were like singing Gimme Love together. And I was like, oh wow. And like Turner was like, man, this is such a good album. And I was like, I've never heard this before.
Well, it's crazy.
Turner is another one of those cats who will.
Yeah.
He'll
turn you into a.
I mean, it's so like crazy and cool that like that you end up in a place in the world with becoming friends with that person, and that person says the sentence out loud like, this Carly Rae Jepsen song is great, and that like unlocks something in your brain and you're like, oh my god, like maybe Carly Rae Jepsen is good. And like how lucky are we to like know, like meet all of these awesome people who like make us think differently about things.
I feel like I feel like a person's enthusiasm is contagious. Like I never thought ill of Carly Rae Jepsen, but it was like y'all's enthusiasm about that album in particular, which was called, what was that album called?
That one is Emotion,
right?
I think.
So like I think we just listened to the whole album straight through, and like, which is a solid listen.
We definitely did.
But yeah, it's
unfortunately, like the blasé can also be contagious too, right?
Yeah.
So if you take that on, and if you're in a certain type of subculture,
yeah, I guess that's true.
It's
that,
so easy to like for other people's opinions about specific things to like bleed onto you through exposure, through like continued exposure.
Right.
Because like I definitely felt that in college where like the sort of like musical circle that I was in, we would have like the same obsessions at the same time.
Yes.
Like we'd be like, wow,
definitely.
Dirty Projectors is the best band ever. And we'd like just rock Dirty Projectors for like a while. And then
I saw y'all covered, or they did at some point anyway, Southern Point. Like I remember when Yellow House came out by Grizzly Bear. Like that was it. That was it.
Man.
I don't know any of the words you just said. Grizzly Bear, Southern Point.
Wait, Bob, do you know the band Grizzly Bear?
No.
There's a record by them that
they're great.
Their first one called Yellow House that if you don't know about them, I'll wait until we talk with Rob on their Bandcamp and see if they're up there and just yell about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Because it's one of my all-time favorite records.
Check them out, Bob. They're really good.
Yeah.
All right.
We're slipping into Bandcamp Rex territory right here. But
yeah.
Like, can you, is Grizzly Bear on Bandcamp?
I don't know, but I'll find out. But Yellow House, very important record to me personally. What happens on
that?
Yeah,
totally.
But so can we listen to some of your work that
they are on Bandcamp? Just to confirm,
post thesis project. Like, I'm particularly interested. Well, first of all, I need to figure out what the hell led you to covering Squirrel Nut Zippers, but also the Home Alone EP I love.
Oh, thank you.
So I'd love to spend some time listening to and talking about that. But
I'm with you on the Zippers. Don't worry. I love Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Can we briefly talk about this?
Dude, Squirrel Nut Zippers is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a real like childhood band for me, because
ska head coming up, you know what I mean?
Ska?
It's so weird. I never even
know,
really.
It's not like third wave, but
no, I never even like really became a ska head. I was listening to Squirrel Nut Zippers like before I knew what ska was.
Wait,
like,
hold on. The association with Squirrel Nut Zippers and ska is blowing my mind right now.
You don't think that Squirrel Nut Zippers are in the ska world?
Aren't they? They're kind of like the
no.
They came out of like.
But I mean,
they totally are.
But does that mean like the fans of ska are fans of Squirrel Nut Zippers, or are you saying the music that they play is ska?
No, neither actually. I do affiliate them with this. Hang on.
They're in the realm.
And they're also in the time period where the lines were being blurred consistently.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like I feel like they were not the only band that was doing what they were doing. This sort of like 40s revival.
Who else was doing it like they were doing it though?
Would you say like that's a good point. What
I don't know.
Shoot. What about like Cherry Pop and Daddies? Would that be?
Yeah.
Okay,
like that shit.
But the difference, the distance between those bands.
Zoot Suit Riot. Zoot Suit Riot.
Yeah.
The distance between those bands is like so massive in my mind. I can't.
What songs? Sorry, Skull Nut Zippers.
Okay, I got into the album. What's it called? The Inevitable, or what is it called?
Do you guys like Andrew Bird?
Yeah.
I love Andrew Bird. Andrew Bird was in Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Okay, so The Inevitable was 95.
Yeah, so that album, I mean, I was in high school then. Like,
so this is like
they're
gypsy jazz.
playing on old
instruments. Yeah, it's like gypsy jazz, sort of old-timey. But here, like, I was not listening to Squirrel Nut Zippers on purpose. It was like my family, we had all these CDs and Squirrel Nut Zippers. My dad was like really into blues, and then like sort of jazz by way of that. And so we had like a couple Squirrel Nut Zippers CD, including their Christmas album, which is so good. Like, continues to be one of my favorite Christmas albums.
Okay.
And that's what this song that I covered is from. It's from their Christmas album. Yeah, it's from Christmas Caravan. Absolutely fire album.
Okay. Well, I'm realizing what happened in my head. This is like a swing and kind of gypsy jazz as well, Bam, right? And then when you said, oh my God, I'm like thinking,
Andrew Bird is their violinist.
Yeah, I almost just said Andrew Hill, way off. But
close enough.
If Andrew Hill was their pianist, but anyway, okay. So in my head, like I'm like conflating these two worlds in this time. You know what I mean? Like, so back in that time, and I was such a huge ska fan when I was a kid. Like man, even as like rock steady all the way back in the 60s, and then as, even like Aquabats later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can we pause for a second though? Like, don't the roots of ska come from reggae? Like really old ska is like coming from reggae, coming from dancehall, Jamaican music.
For sure.
Definitely. Like rock and
like directly descended from reggae and dancehall music.
Yeah, and if you listen to the oldest music that they first started calling ska, it's really fascinating. It's really cool sound. Like I think I had a record called it's like old recordings from the 60s, I think called Monkey Ska back in the day.
Yeah,
like,
I got this record from sorry, I'm like walking away.
We can't hear you.
Hang on. I'm
standing by.
Stand by.
Are you still in headphones?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So you can hear us, but we can't hear you.
I can hear you.
You don't hear us, but we hear you.
So, okay.
Okay, so I agree that Squirrel Nut Zippers are not ska. I had totally misplaced that in my head.
Well, okay, the thing that I wanted to say is that I think that some of the songs that they're playing are not, some of them are, I guess they're all written by them, I guess. Never mind.
Okay.
Oh no, some of them are covers. Sorry.
Like earlier this year.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, I got really
take a screenshot of this while you're showing the record, by the way. Let me see it.
What is that?
Rare and unreleased ska recordings from Federal Records Vaults 1964 to 1965.
Whoa.
Can you show that again real quick? Beautiful.
That's dope.
Getting like mad glare on it. Oh, there we go.
Nice. Where did you find that?
Econojam. So like in the pandemic, I got Econojam started. That record store on Telegraph.
Yeah.
They started selling records on Instagram.
What?
And so like they would post a picture of the record. I think they're still doing this.
Yeah.
I had to stop because I was like, I knew I was going to move and I was like, I cannot buy any more records. But I think I'm going to start up again because they ship too. I know it's dangerous. But yeah, so they post a picture of the record and then you comment sold if you want to buy it. And then whoever does that first gets it. And then you Venmo them. And then they, like when I was in Oakland, I would go and pick up my records from them. Shout out to Econojam. That's my favorite record store in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
On Telegraph in...
Yeah, they're on Telegraph in Oakland.
Where?
Across from, what's that bar? Double Standard.
What? I feel like have I really been away from the Bay for that long?
It's like uptown Telegraph.
Yeah, it's really close to where I teach. Dangerously close.
Yeah, dangerous. It's a great store. And they're always like so nice in there. And it's a good vibe. But yeah, they have a really cool selection of stuff. I've just like found really like kind of random fun records there.
I've definitely never been in this store.
Well, all right, so that does cover a little bit about the Squirrel Nut Zippers cover.
Yeah, I just I love that album, and I particularly love that song.
All right,
and that's why I covered it.
Right on. And sorry for throwing us off by the ska thing. No, it's like way more the swing revival, gypsy jazz revival stuff. But
yeah, but I feel like that's not unrelated.
Right. I understand, but I did have something misconflated in my mind, so it's good to good to clear that up a bit.
I feel like what I was going to say, another thing about Squirrel Nut Zippers is that they're trying to recreate a sound from the 30s and 40s, whereas a modern ska band is playing a genre that's current. Like it's the evolution of genres that have.
That's a good point.
But they were
That's
like
interesting.
in their recording techniques, their instruments, like in every aspect, trying to recreate something that was 60, 70 years old.
Yeah.
Really? Even down to like the gear they were using?
Yes, very much so.
For record? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it's like a production experiment too.
Yeah, they have.
That's cool.
I believe.
That's interesting.
Like I forget one of the like one of the singers' names, but if I recall correctly, he has some sort of crazy, insane collection of like old guitars and stuff that are like proto guitars, even. You know?
Oh wow. So are they like? Are they playing like period instruments?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I could be wrong about all of this, I guess, but this is my memory of it. But from when I was into the inevitable in my teens.
Yeah.
So
okay. Well, we'll add it into the errata in the show notes if there's all the mistakes we're constantly making here. But no, that sounds about right, man. For real. But so let's talk about Home Alone, and it seems like Until Then happened before that and became a part of Home Alone.
Yeah.
Is that right? All
yeah.
right.
I kind of just like recorded and dropped Until Then without a real plan. And then I was like, I think I want this to be part of this EP. And so I just put it in there. I think I may have remixed it.
Were these all home records in SF?
Can we play a bit? Can we play like a little bit of Helium, perhaps?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to listen to some of Until Then as well because there's some super fascinating aspects to it.
I won't write love songs anymore. I don't have the fodder. I don't remember what I'm like. I'll ask my mother. Don't I realize it is no surprise to be alone?
The 60s, the train just did that. And they did a movie, I don't know how accurate it was, I'm trying to think of the name of it, where the French officers want these guys to keep going out, they're getting shot.
No one is clinging on to me. You'd think I was freer, but I'm a helium balloon. I just drift higher, where my body goes. Honey, I don't know, I just don't know.
So here I wandered back there in the days, his eyes out of whack, and I got a bump with two, okay? And clearly see the watch along.
Such a
Very
chill
nice. Yeah.
song. I have like the same comment about your mixing. It's like it's so well done and like so everything's so pleasing sounding because it all kind of has its own little space that it lives in. And like I feel like you're playing with a lot of different dimensions. Like it's volume, panning, like you have a sort of distance that you're using with reverb and like EQ, and it's all like all these different dimensions that create a space for each of the instruments in your mixes.
Huh. That sounds really cool.
Was that the
That
little
makes it sound
clave?
really cool.
The little clave thing? Were you running that in Max by chance? Like when you would do the
No, I think I used like all Logic, like built-in instruments in that. Like, honestly, it's possible that clave thing is Klopfgeist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't think it is, but it's possible.
Interesting. All right.
We all love our Klopfgeist.
So yeah, what was the sample in there? What was that from?
So that was actually something that I recorded. There was I think I was on the 1 bus in San Francisco, and this guy got on and sat next to me, and he was just sort of like saying stuff, and I started recording what he was saying.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that I would do that again. I think, so, I mean, for one thing, in the state of California, you need people's consent to record them. And
that definitely is broken constantly, but
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think, so I was like 23 when I made that. 29-year-old me looks at that and is like, is that exploitative? I'm not sure. The like ethics of that are a little dicey, I think. But
yeah,
I do think that it like, what I mean, his voice just like inspired me, and I just thought it was like a cool way to incorporate like what I was doing at that time. I was riding a lot of muni buses. Like I wrote this and recorded this EP like while I was living in San Francisco, like being a 23-year-old, bopping around the city, and just sort of like observing stuff and listening to people and like what sounds the city made. And it felt like true to my experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's fascinating. I mean, like, It's Gonna Rain would have never been written if he'd asked that dude for his consent, I think,
Yeah.
Like the Reich tape piece, I don't think he was just like, hey, I'm gonna...
Yeah.
But, were you using like a Zoom pocket recorder, or was your phone?
No, it's just my phone.
Okay. And it does sound, I haven't been able to hear clearly what the gentleman was saying, but it sounded like some of it was like some kind of dark material.
It was like he was talking about, I thought maybe he was talking about like Vietnam, like maybe he was a vet, he had been in Vietnam or like been deployed somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was just sort of like rambling about a bunch of different stuff, and he would like jump from one thing to another.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to figure that out.
It wasn't like really coherent.
Good old public transit.
I thought for a second it might have been like, it did sound like something that was like a war documentary, but then I was like, wait, is that a hitman?
Yeah.
Like he said something that made me think that at some point, but
yeah, I don't know. We'll never know.
Well, I'm glad it's in there personally. I love that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I'm glad that 23-year-old you made that choice.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Can we go ahead?
I'm just curious, like maybe do you want to talk about the writer's block aspect of this? Because like even in the song like Don't Know How, it kind of gets into the first line is that you are struggling with Taylor Swift or whatever, and like how much of that plays into like your work at Smule and stuff like that, I guess.
It was like I was in my first 2 years out of college, which was such a like college was such a like fruitful, productive time creatively. And I had gotten this job where I was getting to like write musical arrangements and like use my musical skills directly. And I think I was having trouble, I think, with like finding energy to write and to create. So there was a period, I think like the first 2 years or year and a half. No, it was like a year, because I think I started writing Helium in like January of 2015, maybe. But yeah, I was kind of just like spent a little bit, I think. It was like a big life change, and I was figuring out how to be a regular person out in the world, not a student, working, like doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I remember like starting to write Helium, that song, and I was supposed to like go and meet a friend at a party, and I bailed on him because I was like, I am writing something for the first time in a long time, and I'm not going to show up for this party.
Hey, I feel you 1,000% on that.
Yeah.
Because like,
yeah, I was like, I need to run with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I like that sort of like opened things up a little bit again, and I was able to make more stuff.
So I guess this is a good maybe segue, good time to ask you about like, what is your actual process here? Like, how do you, what
For songwriting?
Yeah, like what causes you to write songs? Do you decide to do it, or do you take it from inspiration, and like, what do you start with? And
well, so I like the like notes app on my phone is full of just like random little like phrases, like words that I think of. And then the voice memos on my phone is like where I do a lot of processing. So I'll like, if I'm out and like even like a really tiny musical like motif occurs to me, I will like record it. And so I have a bunch of like 2 to 7 second like snippets on my phone of me like singing a bass line while walking down the street.
Yeah. Can relate.
Thank God for voice memos and for the Notes app. Like it's so cool. Cause then like once I start writing a song, then I'm still like in voice memos recording like cause I'm worried I'm going to forget it. So like recording every iteration of the song, recording the verses
like listening while you're walking around.
Yeah. I'm like, the next day I'm listening on my way to work being like, okay, like this is working, this isn't working. But yeah, so I have like that going kind of constantly. But when I like sit down to write a song, which like admittedly I haven't done in a while, I'll like usually I'm playing guitar and I'm just sort of like noodling around. Sometimes I'm on keys and I'm noodling around until I like get into something like even like a 2-chord progression or something. And then I'll like kind of repeat that and just loop it for myself and then like make myself sing something over that. And sometimes there's words at the beginning, sometimes there's not. Sometimes I like have a thing, like a concept that I want to write about. Sometimes I don't go into it like with a concept.
Yeah.
But it often does start like with guitar or piano, and then sort of like trying out different like vocalizing stuff.
Yeah. Can we
And then it
listen
just
to-
takes shape from there, and like I kind of like write the music and the lyrics at the same time together.
Okay.
Like they sort of develop together.
Having a very similar process in a lot of ways, not necessarily with the vocal stuff, but you know, I would love to. Can we listen a little bit to Until Then, just because like, you know, what you were talking about coming up with the vamp or like a simple thing. It starts like, and you know, when I was listening to this, I was immediately thinking of kind of maybe your Nick Drake era ears at work there. And then what happens after is so different. And it, you know, to me that it's more like these kind of surprising resolutions that I would never expect to come from that, you know? And, you know, I think I think it worked out in a really fascinating way, but I've had similar experiences where I'm listening to voice memos, walking around, sort of making chops in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Like that iteration of that progression was the one. And then I have to try to remember that if I'm like in Berkeley Bowl or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but so anyway, yeah, let's listen to a little bit.
Yeah, the
of,
like file management part can be hard.
Yeah.
Where like I try to always name things descriptively, but sometimes it's like I'll remember whatever I name guitar. It's like guitar thing 1020. And I'm just like, yeah, this will be fine. And then I go back to it. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I've gotten better. There's a lot of things that say like new bridge possible part 3, you know? So, and that's honestly a lot more verbose than like just like piano thing today.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah, you're like, it's like I was riffing. Like, I don't know what it is that we think I don't learn.
Yeah.
So wait,
I always like have something in my head and I'm like, oh, this is good. I'll remember it.
Nope.
Why in the world would I remember it?
Yeah.
Why would I ever remember it? No one ever remembers anything.
Yeah, I personally have a lot of these voice memos, but I never listened to them ever again.
Huh.
So
you should check them out.
A lot of the like little snippets just get lost in there. But what I do go back and listen to is like when I'm actually like in the swing of it, working on a song.
So I guess
like I'll go in and listen to like my scratch recordings of the song.
Yeah.
So is your process for songwriting, would you say like maybe like cataloging and finishing these snippets that you have, or is it
yeah,
so do you actually
I think so.
when you take your time to write a song, you're going back through some of this material and being like, oh, this is a bit I want to work
sure.
with.
Every time I finish a song, you can like someone could go through my voice memos and see like all of the
stages,
like the sketches.
Wow.
The sketches of that song. Like, you know, there'll be a voice memo. It's like I recorded the first verse, and then there's another one where I figured out the chorus, so I recorded the chorus, and then there's another one where I did the first verse and the chorus, and then there's one where I did the bridge, and then like I put those all together, and then like it's like I am like cataloging and like stitching things together because I like am always like worried that I'm gonna lose stuff.
Yeah, you are so speaking my language with that. It's I mean, I still have all the ones that led to a lot of the things that were on Tidy Universe that I could send you, Bob. Like for West Medicine, like I could show you exactly when these little parts were born. Like I still have all the voice memos, you know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know like how far back my voice memos go. I think they might go back to like, I might have voice memos from college.
Yeah, there's tons of records.
I think back to like 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
I when I did that program in Paris, so I like, this was like a 2-part summer excursion. So I did the 1 month at the Ear Cam, and then I went to Ireland for a month, and like traveled across Ireland for a week, then went like traveled to this little like Irish traditional music festival on the West Coast for a week, and then a jazz festival in Sligo for a week. And I became like super obsessed with Irish music, like trad. They call it trad. It's like Irish traditional music, like jigs and shit.
Trad.
And
jigs and shit.
Yeah, jigs and shit. Reels, airs. I love, I mean, I music is fucking awesome. I love all music, but I love like folk music. Just like was so taken with the music in Ireland, and recorded made a bunch of voice memos of like people playing in bars and stuff, and like this amazing concertina player that I saw perform, who like I then went home and asked my mom to get me a concertina for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And play a little bit of concertina.
Do you have one?
I do, yeah. I'll send you a picture of it.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Is that what's on the Squirrel Nut Zipper cover?
Yes.
At the end?
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, that was concertina.
I was like, is that a melodica or an accordion? It's a concertina.
It was concertina. I thought about
and you can
getting
actually play that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts, dude. Okay. That is bonkers. All right.
I thought about getting an accordion, like I was thinking about getting like a button accordion. And then I decided on concertina because it's just such a like weird, fascinating instrument.
It's a much tidier instrument. It's much
very tidy. It's small.
Yeah.
I'm small.
And
I like small instruments.
It sounded cool on the end of that cover, you know, like I couldn't quite place it.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it, if
it's not
she's
like an
playing
instrument
like
that people hear a lot.
No, not out here.
Unless like you are into Irish music or you
Trad.
love sea shanties. Because that's like the only other application for concertina.
I know.
It's like a sailor instrument.
Okay. Yeah, I know some friends who are into sea shanties, but I haven't delved into the world yet.
Yeah, I mean, the internet
like
went through a brief
thing.
Sea shanty phase in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right,
where like
that's
the
right.
sea shanty, there were like all these TikToks of like guys singing sea shanties.
Yeah. I forgot that was a thing. My friend Quinn.
It was brief. I think it was only like 2 weeks.
I think
one
Quinn Tice was
one
in
of
them
our
for
like
years
phases as a society on Twitter.
Real quick though, can we bring up, because you were talking about how you've not been writing so much, but one very, very cool thing that you did that I do want to bring attention to was the quarantine.
Yeah.
And that was like early on during quarantine, you created a platform for artists of all stripes and any creative, like, or anyone who was taking the time to explore something creative that they hadn't like perfected as an art at all, like to just submit weekly. And it was a really beautiful thing, and a lot of people connected across my worlds, like both you and Bob, I think, got to interact a bit more with Danny Meyer in that sense. And
I gotta call that guy back. I gotta remember to call him back. Sorry. Side note.
Okay, well, that's tomorrow.
Yeah,
He's
not right now.
And then, Bob and I started our duo project, which I'm very excited about. I haven't done anything with that yet. I got to do more work with the MPC, like a lot of experimentation. And
that's so cool.
Everybody's output was so fascinating. And that was kind of my introduction into Devin's world of creating web content in a way as well.
Yeah, Devin,
You know what I mean?
God, this is just like a Devin fan podcast, but like Devin
Yeah,
really helps me get into HTML web design and like how to make like a 90s website.
Yeah.
And then that became like all I wanted to see on the internet. I was like, if it doesn't look like this, I don't want it.
Yeah, your current Bandcamp banner has flavorings of...
It's definitely like glitch internet aesthetic.
But, I just wanted to give a shout because I know you were saying that, like, all right, you talked in your email to us, you did talk a little bit about how the pandemic hit you in a certain way and maybe you haven't been creating. I was like, yeah, but wait, you just created this incredible platform for everyone else to share within, and
that was so fun.
And I really just wanted to say thank you for that. And I commend you. And thank you. That was a big undertaking and you did a fantastic job with it. So thank you so much. It was super cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I loved doing that.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
I was so stoked to be a part of it.
Someday I want to like do it again, revive it.
I would echo everything that's been said so far. Like but it was also just like for me personally, like it was so important. Like it was really helpful to have just a thing to do on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was helpful, like for me too. Like, Bob, because you were so consistent with your submissions, there were issues where like I kept going, like because I knew I had a submission from you.
That's well,
like which was like we were like keeping each other going.
Yeah, symbiotic.
I was like, yeah, Bob's gonna have like a new drum this week, and he's gonna have a new song, and like I gotta have like a new quarantine issue for him, and then like when Bob has a submission, like then other people will follow. Like I would get worried about like, oh my God, what if nobody submits? But like,
nah, there's Bob.
There's Bob. There's always Bob. Like, yeah, it gave me something like cool and fun and creative to do every week as well. Where I would just like do this thing that I was learning how to do and like get to see all of these people's like cool, fun art that they were making in this weird time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very
stuff was
uplifting
amazing.
And a very, very cool idea and well done, so.
Thank you.
There's that
I'm
comedy
so
guy.
glad what?
That comedy guy that was making those videos.
Which one? Was it Joe Quazala?
That sounds maybe right. I don't quite remember. Those are hilarious.
Yeah, there was a lot of great stuff on there.
Man, well, I'm super glad to have learned more about the context in which I've known, especially Home Alone. I'm very familiar with and have been for a while, but like knowing, checking out your other work, and then just being able to contextualize times that I've worked with you, performances that I've seen you do, and like know where you're coming from is really, really awesome and fascinating. So I appreciate you sharing all that. Is there anything that you just moved?
Yeah.
You're in LA now, and what are you stoked about for the future?
About the Knight's Tale soundtrack.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you found that the best listening music for a long journey, for a long drive, is the soundtrack to the Knight's Tale.
You're starting a long drive.
Disclosure, I've never seen this movie before.
What?
I have not seen A Knight's Tale. I have no context for this soundtrack.
No. Okay. If you were to watch it for the first time now, I think you would think it was a very bad movie. Because
are you sure about that? Are you 100% sure
maybe
about
you should
that?
watch it. Maybe you guys should watch A Knight's Tale like remotely together. The production value on that movie is like shockingly low. Like
considering that it was like kind of a blockbuster, right?
Yeah, it was like a total blockbuster. It had Heath Ledger, like big movie. I don't know what that disconnect was, but yeah. So I'm gonna pull it up. I'm just gonna walk you through it. Okay.
Okay.
So you're starting a long drive. You need to hit the ground running. You want there to be like a lot of energy.
Okay.
This soundtrack is just bangers. I skipped the first song because it's "We Will Rock You," and I'm so sorry. I like don't really like Queen.
Whoa.
I know that's
Shots
like a
fired.
hot, I know that's like a hot take.
I think, but I find that surprising. From you, I guess.
There's something like cheesy about them that is not cheesy in the way that I like it.
Wait, you
Like, I love Steely Dan. Steely Dan is like one of my favorite bands ever.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're so cheesy. But
All right.
for some reason, Queen's cheesiness does not work for me.
That's fair.
I respect that they are very good musicians.
Sure.
They're a very good band.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trying to
one.
rake you over the coals with Queen.
Yeah. And then you decide to bring Steely Dan into it. But anyway, let's move forward.
Track
We
one.
So the first track
We
is
Will
out.
Rock You. Track 2, Lowrider by War.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent song. Track 3, Taking Care of Business, Bachman Turner Overdrive. Great song. Makes you feel like you are doing it.
TCB.
Getting it
Doing
done.
stuff.
Yeah.
TCB. We're
Yep.
TCB. Track 4, Golden Years, David Bowie.
Nice.
How can you, what's not to love? Track 5, Crazy on You by Heart. Incredible song. Great intro. Absolute fire. Track 6, further on up the road, Eric Clapton. I skipped that one because I don't like Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Track 7. Track 7, Get Ready by Rare Earth. Incredible. Track 8, I Want to Take You Higher, Sly and the Family Stone. A
Beautiful.
classic.
Yeah.
Track 9, The Boys Are Back in Town, Thin Lizzy. Incredible song. Incredible specificity in that song. They name so many like specific establishments there and names of people that I don't know.
Okay.
Track 10 is like a score piece, and that one always makes me laugh when it comes on because like I've spent the last 45 minutes listening to like 70s power bangers, and then there's this like bum ba 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 bum ba ba ba, like this like medieval sounding.
Can we just go back to
orchestral
Knight's
score.
Tale, the movie? Like, I'm.
Wait. We gotta finish
Okay.
That's
the,
it. That's the
listing.
end.
Okay.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Do you have this a physical? Did you pop this into your CD player in your car?
I used to. Yeah.
used to.
When this movie came out, it was 2001, so I was 10 years old, and you better believe I had the CD of this soundtrack.
You were pumped.
I was pumped. But I have recently, it's only recently that I have rediscovered it.
Okay.
And it's good for moving.
It's really good for moving. Sorry, I just burped. But
That's okay. We're a burp-friendly podcast.
But yeah, while I was packing, I was listening to a lot of like millennium music from around the millennium time. So like
Got you.
1996 through 2004.
Yeah, the other playlist that you shared was like pure early 2000s, like 2000 to 2005, no more, no less. Like,
Are you talking about the one with all the Blink-182 on it?
I think it's called Millennium Bitch.
Oh yeah, Millennium Bitch.
Yeah.
That one's like more pop leaning. And then the other one is called If You're Falling Asleep While Driving, which I learned is music that helps me wake up if I am on a long drive and falling asleep. And it's like mostly Blink-182.
Fair.
And yeah, other than that,
this is such an interesting, like, I mean, just considering the course of this podcast, like, we were talking about like Pierre Boulez and Earcam, and now we are talking about Millennium Bitch.
Yeah, dude, what did I say? I told you I like to have a varied diet of music, and I don't fuck around. I am not kidding.
So
all music is good.
Yeah. You have the most recent thing on your Bandcamp here is some like audio reel stuff.
Oh yeah.
I
started putting up.
Is this stuff that
sort of a catalog just for myself of like stuff I have been making since I sort of pivoted away from music production to like narrative audio production. So on this like narrative audio reel, I have stuff that I made at Audible that I like did the post-production on and sound design and stuff. And those like are long form things. Where with like fully like realized complex sound design. And then the rest of the stuff is like spots that I've made while working at Spotify. So I started my job there in April 2020. I'm an audio engineer on their like in-house ad production team. So I pretty much handle the engineering on like branded content and ads that run on the podcast and music sides of the platform. So I do a lot of different stuff. Like some of it is like custom work for clients. Like sometimes we work with artists and for like different features. Like we did the Cinnamon Toast Crunch thing with this artist Kuko. I've gotten to do a lot of cool stuff with them. Yeah, we work on Coca-Cola ads periodically. Every year we do a Coke holiday ad that I just worked on. Those are always really fun from a sound design perspective because they, you know, it's Coke. They have, I actually recorded my own like Coca-Cola Foley for
that was going to be my question.
Ads that we make. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's actually Coca-Cola. Like I went to the corner store and bought like a couple bottles.
Nice.
Well, I think I bought like a couple plastic bottles of Coke, a couple cans, and then a couple glass bottles because I wasn't sure like which was going to sound the best. Right on.
Did you get to meet Nick Offerman by chance?
No, I just worked with his voice.
So are you?
Unfortunately, didn't get to do the recording.
Oh, but are you? So what are you like for like the Audible stuff? What are you doing there? Is it like?
I was pretty much exclusively doing post-production, so things would come to me already recorded, and I would mix and master them, do sound design, edit or add and edit music underneath.
Were you writing the music?
I didn't write any music for those. We were using music from like libraries that we subscribe to.
Right on.
Which is primarily what we also do at Spotify.
Finally raining out here, man. It's raining a lot.
Oh, really?
I'm jealous. I want it to rain.
Yeah, like walked into the main warehouse exterior and I could hear it on the roof. It's crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, finally.
Love that.
I've been spooked out, but we've been getting it. Anyway, do you happen to know the names of the libraries that you primarily subscribe to?
Yeah. So at Spotify, we use Audio Network, Epidemic Sound, and then so Gimlet, the podcast company.
Yeah.
They have their own library setup of music that their composers and engineers have created, and specifically for ad music. And so often for Gimlet, for ads that are going to run on Gimlet podcasts, we'll use music from the Gimlet ad music library.
Okay.
But yeah, those are our big 3 music sources.
But you have some music you said that you had recorded but you haven't released yet?
Yeah. I recorded like an EP at Tiny Telephone.
Oh, you did that at Tiny?
Yeah.
Wow.
At San Francisco Tiny.
R.I.P.
I know. That was in May of 2019. And I like meant to mix it myself and try to get somebody to like help me release it. And then I didn't get around to mixing it. And then the pandemic happened.
Heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I would like to get it out there in some way. I think I'm gonna hire somebody to mix it.
Yeah.
But because I don't know. I feel like for what I started to try to mix it, and sort of realized like how big of an undertaking it was. And
what's on it?
Yeah.
What'd you record?
5 songs that are basically like in my current rotation of songs that I perform.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I actually. So the only place that those songs can be heard is on YouTube. I did a virtual concert back in August of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Was that on Danny's thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Danny Meyer.
Yeah, that was on Danny's thing.
Another great product of the quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That series was great.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, I watched that live.
Really?
Yeah, there was like, you had some...
I had some real technical difficulties.
Some things up front, but then it was a great concert. So.
Yeah, I ended up just recording the set like locally.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, I had to bail on it because like my internet just decided to not let me be streaming.
Okay. So yeah, Molly just sent us a link to that, which we'll include definitely in the show notes.
But yeah, you can, I'm pretty sure I played all the songs from my EP recording in this show.
Okay.
Cause yeah, basically like in my last like or the most recent iteration of my live performance, I was playing pretty much all songs that existed nowhere as recordings.
Oh, wow.
Which like gets really annoying because people are like, where can I hear your music, and you're like,
You can't.
you can't.
This is also
have
an
to
interesting
come to the
thing though,
show.
like because that performing them is it not true that performing them gives them time to grow and mature? Because
Totally. Yeah.
recording them solidifies them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Like the more I perform a song, the more like I settle into it as the performer of the song. And so like I develop new inflections and like little details that weren't there when I was writing it.
Yeah, that's cool.
As you familiarize yourself and get really comfortable performing a piece, like I think there's like a human element that comes in that makes it so that the piece isn't static.
Yeah.
Like you're infusing it with like your artistry.
Yeah, I've definitely recorded tunes and then like during the course of performing them have added entire verses.
Yeah.
And when I hear the recorded version, I'm just like, God dang.
You're like, man, I wish that I like hadn't recorded it then and recorded it later when it was like this much cooler.
Yeah. I had essentially written it for the recording session and it just it was not ever once performed or anything like that. So yeah.
You know Spencer Owen?
Yeah.
Oh, so our friend, who has his band, the Spencer Owen Timeshare. Like one of the earliest Denny Denny Breakfast shows in Oakland, we played with him, and his shows are great. And like one of the sort of like crowd pleasing hits of his set is this song that he always closes with, which is this like slow groove 6/8. Things called like Sure Thing or Sure Thing Dropout or something like I forget what the title is. Anyway, I was like, oh, it's like that's his hit, and then like the band broke up like a year or two ago, because one of the guys moved to Germany, I think, and so like and they had just released like an album that they had recorded in this, like, because most of this time it's Spencer's own project and he does it himself. And so like this band, I think for the first time recorded as a band, like in the studio. And I was like, wait, these songs are just getting recorded now? Like, haven't you been playing these for like 10 years? Like,
yeah,
it's like, but he's like,
yeah,
but he was like, no, but it took that long for it to be ready to record.
Yeah.
And like they were going on
like
tours
when you're
and
performing stuff, you're still like working on it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
That's some extreme commitment though on Spencer's end.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I don't know really how long it was, but it was like, it felt like it. I mean, it was at least like 5 or 6 years. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. That's bonkers though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so different from my process. I'm very insular, and the band is usually a result of a song having been recorded, but that's a whole other thing. After the band had been made, then it sounded like it, and then we recorded that, and then but now the process has started all over again. I think it's just a different way of operating.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
all valid.
All valid. There's so many different ways to make music.
It's true.
It's dizzying.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about music is you can just do anything.
100%.
You can literally just do whatever you want.
This could be music right now.
It is.
This
to
is
my
music.
ears.
This is music.
This has been to my ears, by Jove.
Yes, it has.
Most sweet. Is there anything else you want to throw out there to the world?
Ooh. I don't know.
Do you want to tell anyone where they might be able to find you? Of course, it'll be in the show notes.
Oh, yeah.
But
you can listen to my music on Bandcamp.
mm-hmm.
That's where I have a lot of. I think that's where I have the most stuff. Bandcamp and SoundCloud. I have a couple more abstract projects on SoundCloud.
Dig.
And then my EP and my album from college are both on Spotify.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Bandcamp is mollybolten.bandcamp.com.
Sure is.
You'll track everything down there. There's a link
Bolten
to
with an E.
SoundCloud.
Yeah,
Huh?
Bolten with an E. That's important.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. Big time.
Everybody misspells Bolton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe
I promise.
or maybe we misspell Bolton. I think that's really what it is, because it's an unusual spelling of the name.
Yeah.
I promise not to do that when we put this out. Just a few things for us personally. You can find us on Twitter. Let's see here. What are we at? Actually, let's start with the grams here. With FT4HB on the grams. You can support us by supporting our Patreon. That's patreon.com/fantastic tones for human bones. And what is
Tones _4.
Tones _4. Okay,
FOR.
that's
Yeah.
a different 2 out of 3 than I usually get. Yeah. But there you have it, folks. So yeah, check us out.
Tones _4 for which? For Twitter?
Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, let me make sure that I follow you.
Please do.
Tones 4.
Can you tell them your Twitter handle, or do you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's get this bread and roses
I'm all
or something.
up on Twitter.
Yeah.
My actual
highly recommended follow, people. Yeah.
My actual Twitter handle is just my name, Molly Bolten.
Okay.
But
I
my
see.
display name is Let's Get This Bread and Roses.
Let's get this bread and roses.
Because I am a socialist and I feel very passionately about that. But I post a lot of stupid little thoughts on Twitter, and there is a small group of people who often enjoy them.
Hopefully.
Like when a tweet that I post gets like 7 likes, I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, I have gone viral.
Yeah. Usually
I'm like, wow, this is doing numbers.
the people who normally like anything that I tweet is also people that I'm consistently in group texts with. So oftentimes I wonder what the point is. But you just push forward.
Yeah,
you put things out there in the world, and
that's sort of the eternal question. Is like you have a little thought. Should it be a tweet, or should you text that thought to a friend,
friends who would normally
friends
like
who would normally like the tweet? But if you put it on Twitter, then you get the validation of knowing that they liked it in a physical way. They had to tap a thing on a screen to say that they liked it.
They can thumbs up a text.
They can thumbs up a text.
Yeah.
You're right.
Or send like a emoji with like eyeballs doing all this crazy stuff. And
yeah, I do love the reaction feature on iOS. That really, that's a really great addition.
Unless you're in a group chat with people that are using Android.
Yeah, then
that's the one
then
where...
you're in hell. And all the texts are green, and that's how you know that you should cut those people out of your life.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
All right.
I've been talking for too long.
That's how you know that's when you're in hell and you need to remove those friends from your life. So I think I've said everything that I meant to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if on dating apps, if I'm talking to somebody and then like we exchange numbers, and I text them and it turns green, I'm like a little sad about that.
Oh, because you're
always
like, well,
oh, damn it.
This was going well.
Yeah, I guess this can never be. Because I won't be able to see if they're typing.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, very important part of dating, right?
Extremely important. No one should be able to see if I'm typing, but I would like to see when other people are typing.
Do you have read receipts on?
No.
As a power move?
I did for a while, and then I turned them off.
I haven't had them on like in years. I think
it is an incredibly powerful thing to do.
Oof.
To have read receipts on. I have like a couple friends who have their read receipts on, like very close friends, and that I like appreciate a lot.
But isn't the magic of the text?
There's a certain honesty to it.
Yeah, but even if someone reads your text, I mean, if you're expecting them to respond, that's one thing. But if you're like, "Hey, do you want to go to this show?" and they read your text and then they respond like a day later or something, that's normal. I feel like, right?
Yeah.
And that's like,
and I think that like that should actually be more okay.
Yeah.
To do, like, I think there's too much emphasis placed on like people being available by phone at all times, where a lot of the time when I receive a text, if I'm doing something else, like I don't want to be texting. And so I will like wait to respond until a time when I am not busy.
Yeah, I try to do the same. That's really important, because if you can't, it's just for your own mental health. You can't make it seem as though you
gotta like carve out space for yourself.
Yeah.
To not be reachable.
Yeah.
So that you can like live your life.
Yeah, definitely. Of course.
Right on.
Well, Molly, thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate
for
coming on here and illuminating everything. It's incredible to talk to you and
this has been so much fun.
Yeah, it has, absolutely.
I miss hanging out with you guys.
I know.
Same.
Likewise.
Let me know if you're ever in LA.
I will. I hope to get down there soon enough.
Yeah.
I want to be down there soon too.
Yeah, it's close for you, Bob.
Yeah.
It's not too far.
So close yet so far.
It feels like a million miles.
Yeah.
You got to get through the mountains.
Crazy.
It's hard to do things right now, but that'll change eventually. But
it will. It'll get easier to do things. But I understand it being hard to do things.
Yeah.
So you have a little person.
Yeah.
You have a little person who like can't do stuff.
She can do a lot of really cool stuff though.
Really? Like what? What's like the coolest thing she can do?
It's like at this time with them, it's just like a series of like these tiny little milestones.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice all of them. It's like the other day, she grabbed a cup with one hand and picked it up and took a drink by herself, which was like 2 milestones in one, grabbing the cup with one hand and not two, and then getting it to her face and taking a drink. Also, like, just like, I'm thirsty, I'm going to have a drink. Like, that's another little milestone. But it's like all those,
my God.
All those little things that happen.
It's mind-blowing.
It's like, it's just like one day she doesn't do those things. The next day,
and then all of a sudden, she's
just
figured it out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this cat that we used to have growing up, Toby. He was like probably 7 years old when all of a sudden he started peeing in the toilet.
What?
He saw people pee in the toilet.
A cat?
And then one day he just got up there and all of a sudden he was peeing in the toilet like regularly.
That is so helpful.
I know. It was amazing. And then he stopped doing it after like, I don't know, a couple years. We'll never know why.
That is bizarre.
But like,
I've heard that you can toilet train cats, but
I think
the
you
thought
can.
seems insane to me. Like maybe it's just the cats I have, but
Yeah.
Well, also like, then I mean, can they also flush?
I'm
Probably not, but at least it's in the water there for you instead of having a scoopy
Yeah.
doopy. Scoop-a dookie.
Scooby-Doo.
scoopity scoop. Whoop
Do you have
diddy
cats,
scoop.
Mark?
Dogs.
Dogs. Oh, wait, what kind of dog do you have? I feel like I've met your dog.
I have a wire hair pointing griffon
Yes.
named Rhea.
Yes, I have met your dog. You have a extremely cool dog.
Yeah, she's pretty fucking awesome. She's
Yeah.
amazing. But I gotta get towards
It's time for bed.
the
Yeah.
sleeps. But
Yeah.
Should we go out on a track?
yeah, please. We didn't listen to we didn't listen to Until Then. I don't know what you had in mind, but I
Wait,
love
didn't
that
we?
too.
I thought we did.
No, we did Helium.
We did Helium.
Okay.
We mentioned it, but we were engrossed in conversation.
All right, then. Until then.
Take me at my word. You're the reason I'm drawing in the sand. I can't think of one season I won't be holding your hand. When I'm bored at work, I imagine shooting time with you. Memories with no captions, just a song or two. I know that it's early, baby, to be so light on my feet. But maybe the shit-eating grit will save me from winter having me beat. I am very infinite and you are very too, but I am floating in a space that is identical to you. Maybe you and I could talk about it at another time. Maybe we could go to dinner and you'll let me pick your mind. But until then, until then, take me at my word. You're the reason I'm drawing in the sand.